How many iPhones should we ring up this year? Some reports are saying 2, some reports are saying 3. I really hope there's 4. I think it'd be great if we got the 7S, the 7S Plus, and the iPhone 8 and the iPhone 8 Plus, but there's currently no leaks or rumors saying that's possible. And the biggest question arises, should there be 2 variations to this rumored iPhone 8 we've been talking so much about? This is kind of a tough one because there's a lot of pros and there's a lot of cons. Let's focus on some of the good things. Having 2 variations means different options for the customer. Yes, either way we're going to be getting a display that is over 5.5 inches because we know it'll be at least 5.8, but in that much smaller form factor, which is going to be handy. It'll be more portable, it'll be lighter, and yet still consist of that dual camera and that edge-to-edge display and all the great things the iPhone 8 is going to be known for. But if we are going to have an 8 Plus, wouldn't that be a over 6-inch display if we're looking the way Samsung did things with the S8 and S8 Plus? I've been using the S8 Plus for a while, and I can say this display is pretty massive, and some people are really going to like it and some people aren't. I've experienced plenty of times when the large display, while looking cool, can be a little bit hard to reach around, and with its curved edges you can easily tap things you don't mean to by reaching too far across the phone, especially when you're using it with one hand. So it's very possible that Apple might say, no, we're not interested in an 8 Plus because that's simply too much display for a user to deal with at once. We're going to say if you have a phone that size, you're going to want a chin and forehead for some resting area, or at least some bezels to be bumper zones for your hands. But another pro to having a Plus model would be an extended battery life, which you typically get on a larger phone. You can store more milliamps in there. Difference in variations, right? That'd be nice. As well as maybe a couple more pro features that the Plus model has that the regular 8 model won't. Currently, every schematic leaked of the iPhone 8 we have right now sports a dual camera, so it'd be really neat to see 2 iPhones both supporting dual cameras, but maybe on the Plus model, the dual cameras are a bit more balanced and more high performance, and on the regular 8, it's not as good. It's kind of there, but not quite. Perhaps on the Plus model, we can see that smart connector rumored for AR or VR purposes, or perhaps just some cool modular cases. Similar to the Moto Z, we can just have battery packs or maybe even storage expansions we can just slap on the back as long as they're using that Apple certified smart connector. Plenty of opportunity when adding a rear-facing port that's elegant and simple for third parties to design for. Also, with bigger phones, it may not be as hard to manufacture because parts don't have to be as tight and concise. We'll have more room for the iris scanner, that 3D face unlock, front-facing camera, IR sensor, earpiece all at the top. That won't have to be as compacted to the cameras on the back. So a little bit of breathing room, which maybe that'll be easier for Apple to make. Now, there's a lot of pros to that option, as well as just mentioning that given the opportunity to have a bigger model phone, most Apple customers are going to take it. So Apple would have that opportunity there to make more money because we're gonna buy it. Now, there's plenty of pros. However, I think there's quite too many flaws or cons of having 2 different models. First of all, supplies are in short. It's already rumored that they're going to be delaying the release till later in the year, hopefully before Christmas, but it might surely not be available in September. Mass production might not even start till then. With all the lacking of parts, it could arise the problem that to ask for, you know, these OLED touchscreens that have fingerprint readers under them in 2 different sizes will be too complicated to manufacture. It might be more simple to just have one model that everyone can make parts for and dimensions for. That way we have something to buy at the end of the year and not have extremely limited quantities in 2 different models. The next big con is, of course, that price point. The iPhone 8 is already rumored to be nearing, if not at least $1,000. So if we have a Plus model, that's going to be even more, $100 to $200 more, meaning we all have to pay in the butt for that, which would not be fun. Even if we would be willing to do it, it would put a bigger dent in our wallets, which would not be great. The next con is how do you deal with the difference in resolutions now? We're most likely going to be dealing with a different aspect ratio on the next iPhone. I'm not sure if the display area is going to retain 16:9 or Apple is just going to tell all developers that the new ratio is now 2:1 or whatever it is. Either way, it's going to take a lot of time for third parties to adopt their software to this new edge-to-edge display. Things aren't going to be instantly updated, and it would be a lot easier on developers if they just had one model, one screen resolution to adjust to, and just said, okay, here's the iPhone 8, just optimize it for that one screen and you're good. It would take twice the time to tell everyone, can you optimize it for the 8 and the 8 Plus? However, in this case, we are now assuming Apple would use different screen resolutions on each model. Perhaps the solution to this would be to have the exact same screen resolution on 2 different sizes, meaning that on the regular iPhone 8, you would just have an incredibly high pixel density compared to the 8 Plus. That's what Samsung did on the Galaxy S8. And this would also shut up a lot of Android fans who like to complain about how the regular iPhone 7, a flagship smartphone, has the pixel density of 326. I think that looks great. I think Retina is fine like that, but compared to a lot of Android competitors, that's pretty low. Galaxy phones are in the 500 range. LG is typically in there too. Most phones, especially OLED phones, screen resolution version have surpassed that 400 ppi barrier, and the iPhone 7 Plus is barely over it because Apple cares about efficiency, and they know if they put too much screen resolution onto one phone, it's going to be working extra hard and be harder on the battery life for something that the user's not going to notice. You get a magnifying glass and you compare the 7 Plus to the S8, and you're going to say, yeah, the pixels look better on the S8, but on a day-to-day use, no one's going to really notice that kind of thing. However, Samsung with the new Galaxy S8 does not have the phone automatically set to the highest screen resolution in favor of saving a better battery life. As in, when you turn on the phone, it is on full HD mode, not quad HD mode, because they understand that people don't really notice that kind of thing, and the phone's performance is going to be better if they just leave it at full and not go to quad. So Samsung even acknowledges this. The extra pixels are there now, but the phone isn't out of the box required to use them all. The other con to having an 8 Plus model is that if it's true that we're having 3 new iPhones released at the next iPhone keynote, it would mean that the 7S will only be available in one size. And those people who like aluminum, or those people who like bezels, chins, and foreheads, they're out there. I see the comments. They're like, they're fine. We like bezels. They would not get that Plus model option. They would have to stick with the 4.7-inch display, just with some updated specs. No dual camera, no full HD display, just that regular old iPhone 7 look with a little bit better speed. I think the most likely scenario is for us to see the iPhone 7S and 7S Plus with the updated specs, maybe even some better waterproofing or smart connectors, some added throw-in features like that, and then we see one iPhone 8 with the 5.8-inch OLED display, built-in Touch ID, updated dual cameras that are now vertical. Watch my last video if you're wondering why they're vertical. And it has all those new features, and it just comes in one size. Probably only 2 storage configurations, like 64 and 256. Like, they'll keep it minimal because the manufacturing of these things is proving to be quite a headache for them. They're trying to make room for all of this, but they just can't get all the parts together. So to try to make, 8 different configurations of this model is going to be too complicated. They're going to go for minimal so that we can actually buy them when they're ready. Hopefully before the holidays. So that's what I think will happen. It's not what I want to happen. I wish Apple could just get all these parts together in time and stop delaying things, and we could just have 4 new iPhones. 8, 8 Plus, 7S, and 7 Plus. That would be great for me, but I understand innovation is tricky. They're not ready for that yet. They can't pull it off. Yeah, it's a shame. I also wish AirPods came in black. So, what are you gonna do? What do you think of the iPhone 8 coming in 2 different sizes? Is that a good thing or a bad thing? Please consider all the cons I listed, as in fewer parts, which means if you want 2 options, you might have to wait a little longer. You might have to wait until next year. Do we really want to do that? Or would you prefer one model iPhone 8 so that they can get here quicker and it can be more affordable? Let me know all your thoughts in the comments below. This is your Apple Sheep here, and I will see you in the next one.